Friday, as we like to say right here on the show, we're going to be walking you through everything there is to do. But the top story that we're taking a look at today, through the week, we've actually taken a look at different innovation that's taking place right here in India. We've had young founders come onto the show and tell us a little bit about their innovations. Now, on Monday, we took a look at drones that were being invented for defense purposes. And today, we're taking that same premise a little further by bringing you drones invented for different purposes altogether. So drones beyond defense, beyond military, how are they being used? What kind of innovation is taking place, both in software and in hardware? Today is an exciting episode with both founders joining us, bringing us a background. We'll dive into that Friday morning inspiration and then we'll bring you much, much more. But first, let's take a look at the headlines. My name is Toya Singh. Let's dive straight in. Okay, first up, as we promised, drone delivery tech gets a VC boost. Indian UAV startups gain strategic momentum. So who are we bringing on to the show today? First up, we'll have for you Airbound. Airbound is creating some of the lightest drones in the world, the lightest and the quietest. After that, we'll also have with us Garuda UAV's founder. They are powering India's aerial data grid and its story with software. We bring both on the show to discover what innovation in this sector actually looks like. After that World Hypertension Day, is it sparking a salt rethink? 1 in 4 Indians has undiagnosed hypertension. Is salt fueling India's heart attack crisis? We take a deeper look. We have a doctor coming in. He's a very, very senior doctor who's been leading global research on this, and he tells us about some solutions. And after that, we bring you an entertainment lowdown of the week. As we promised, it's Friday, and what that means is that we take a deeper dive into the world of entertainment. Cannes is taking place right now, as you know. So we take a look at that, the fashion on the red carpet in Cannes. We also take a look at the Royals, how it's doing. Remember, globally, it is one of the top shows right now. We also take a look at global developments that are taking place in the celebrity world. Okay, let's take you first to the world of drones. India's skies are a testing ground. Over the past few days, we've taken you deep into India's drone arsenal. We've talked about the rise of combat UAVs, the Akash air defense system. But behind that firepower, there is innovation that's taking place. Innovation that's led not by generals, but in fact by engineers. On today's episode of The Breakfast Club, we thought we should take you beyond the defense story, now that we've highlighted that, into the innovation that is taking place within this space. These are drones that aren't about surveillance or striking. They're about delivery, logistics, collecting data. These are civilian drone innovations. So where we're taking you is to Bangalore, where Indian startups are building lighter, quieter, faster machines. These are companies that are based not just in Bangalore, also right here in Noida, Gurgaon, the Delhi NCR region. How is this innovation taking place? How did some of these founders start more than a decade ago? Some are actually building today. Let's go into the story a little bit further and let's bring in these founders onto the show right now. So the first founder we're going to have on the show, his name is Naman. He raised a global seed round to scale drone so light that it weighs less than your laptop. I just want to bring you a little bit more context about him before we go over to him. His name is Naman Pushp. He's a young founder. His company is Airbound. And as we told you earlier, it is some of the world's lightest and quietest drones. They are now backed by global VCs, and as we speak, these drones are prepping to do multiple deliveries in a day. They're going to be launched in the ground within this next month. Let's just go over to Naman to understand a little bit more about this. Right, let's just pull up Naman on the show. He's going to join us in a second. And once he does, we'll just... Hi Naman, how are you? Good morning. It's lovely to have you here on the show. Naman, we checked with you before we did this. I do want to share with our audiences that you are 20 years old. So you're a very, very young founder with a very cool story. Just tell us a little bit first about how Airbound was actually born. So take us back a few years. I believe you were 15 years old when you first started tinkering a little bit with robotics. Then you made this transition over the last few years. The research is something that has driven this. Tell us about that first.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sort of while I was in school, I really fell in love with robotics. I think around 13, 14 was, when I got my first exposure into hardware, like making things with nuts and bolts. And I felt like there was no going back from that experience. I think I can describe my hardware experience as it was just addictive. And so I knew I wanted to keep on learning in the space. I think, COVID happened, everyone was stuck at home. I really wanted to do something that could create a difference, could help out. So this sort of started off more so as a project, something, in fact, earlier looking at like contactless delivery solutions. And sort of as it grew, it kind of turned into a company. I think, 2 years later, I sort of moved to doing this full time. And I think since then, the rest is history. And now we're here. I think ambitions have also grown a lot, and we're really excited to, create a drone delivery platform that can hopefully one day make 1 rupee deliveries a reality.
Okay, so actually on the screen right now, showing our audiences what an airbound drone looks like. And it's a really, if it's all right for me to use this word, it's a very sexy shape. Now, how did you arrive at that shape? What was the research process? Because we keep telling our audiences it's one of the lightest drones in the world. Of course, you also have to factor in prices to make this something that delivery companies will actually want to use. So walk us through how you've done that, the process of research over the years.
Absolutely. I think the design, the shape itself is actually one of the first things you have to lock in. So this design was finalized, almost 3 years ago now. And it largely comes from aerodynamics, right? So you have this thing called a lift to drag ratio, which basically means how efficient is my aircraft. So if, let's say, a quadcopter, for instance, which, this is what most people picture drones as, for it to fly, if I have like, let's say 100 kg quadcopter, I need about 100 kgs of thrust just to hover. And to fly forward, I need more thrust than that. So my lift to drag ratio is 1 or less than 1. This drone currently has a lift to drag ratio of 12, which means for that same 100 kg aircraft, I now need less than 10 kgs of thrust to fly. Our goal is with the next model, we want to get to a lift to drag ratio of 20, which is more in line with sort of commercial airliners, which then allows it to fly with just 5 kgs of thrust. So that makes a big difference, because your battery costs, your motor costs and all are the biggest factor behind the cost of an autonomous drone delivery system.
Okay, so I just want to tell our audiences that Airbound has been backed by some of the biggest investment companies in the country. You have raised a lot of money in the last few years for this idea. Now, if I could ask you, Naman, to just take us a step further and break down for us the India advantages that you've seen in the last few years. So building in the Indian ecosystem, what are the advantages of that? Have there been disadvantages? Break that down for us.
Absolutely. I think this is something that I've learned a lot more over the past few months and years, understanding the differences between India and the global landscape. I think we've taken a very cost-heavy focus, when building this drone.
What does that mean? A cost-heavy focus?
Absolutely, right. I think the way we see it is right now drone delivery is being marketed as a premium service, right? It's that if you want deliveries faster, if you want it in a nicer way, it's a good PR gimmick. But the way we see it is that if the cost of your drone delivery is not cheaper than existing forms of delivery, it won't work. Currently, it's costing companies about 1,000 rupees to do a single drone delivery. This is just a price that people are not going to be willing to pay.
Yeah.
And so we realized that there's no reason why it should be more expensive. In fact, these are much lighter, they're electric, they're fully automated. They should be much cheaper than existing methods of delivery. And we realized you have to innovate a lot on the tech to do that. I think that whole idea of like spreadsheeting, having this large document that goes over all of the breakdowns of the cost, how does this factor of efficiency finally run into cost? What do those multipliers look like? I think that's something that Indian founders and the Indian ecosystem tends to be uniquely good at.
Yeah.
And so I think because we're in such a price sensitive market, I think building in India has been a great advantage, and people just understand the tech requirements really well.
Okay, can you explain to us the idea of a drone taking a package from one place to the other still sounds, don't mind me saying this, but it still sounds a little futuristic. So in the Indian context, where, the weather in so many cities, pollution in Delhi is a problem, heat, monsoon might be a problem in so many cities. I assume people living in clusters must be an issue. How have you thought through all of this?
100%, right? I think when it comes to weather, rains and heat are definitely big challenges. Especially, rains you have to deal with wherever you fly. But heat is especially bad in India. I think, you're looking at Delhi, heat temperatures can get really high. We've had cases where, the early prototypes were made with hot glue. In the Mumbai sun, the hot glue itself would melt and the wing would sort of fall off from the rest of the drone. So these are things that we've made sure to keep in mind and ensure the drone is being rigorously tested against a lot of conditions within our lab itself. That's it. I think clusters is, while India is not super unique in the sense that people live in apartments, that is definitely a challenge that the European and US companies don't have to face as much of. So we have to work with delivery partners on, hey, how can we, let's say, do terrace-based deliveries? I think a lot of people think that balcony-based deliveries might work, but while in theory it's possible, like I can probably do a demo.
Let me just break that down for our audiences. What you're saying is that most people would think कि अपने छत पे खड़े होके, basically standing on their balcony, getting the drone to land on the balcony with the object directly. Most of us would think that that's actually easy, you're saying, but it's actually very difficult. Is that what you're saying?
It's not just about difficult, right? Even if I can do it, with cameras and all, you can make it work. It's a safety risk, right? Now, what happens if, let's say, your child goes out to the balcony, drone is flying, propellers are on, they just touch the propellers, right? Someone could get very seriously hurt. Someone knocks over the drone, it tilts towards their face and hits them, right? I think these are, even though our drone is the lightest delivery drone, it's still 2.5 kgs overall, right? It can cause damage if it's not dealt with appropriately. So the way we look at any delivery is that the drone can never be within arm's reach of a civilian, because the moment you allow that, then at scale problems will happen. And you can't always count on it. If there is potentially dangerous technology very close to people that have never interacted with it before, you don't know what can happen.
Let me ask you another question about operating this. So right now the country has a network of thousands of delivery men who go out every single day with your Zomato, your Swiggy orders, your Blinkit orders, and they make those deliveries. Now, potentially, let's imagine a world 10 years from now, maybe 20 years from now, where your drones are in every mohalla in the country. Now, does that mean that those same delivery people could potentially have migrated into a different job over the years and are now the people who are controlling the drones? Is that a good one-to-one comparison, or are lesser people needed to do this in the day-to-day?
100%, right? I think as we scale, we will need a lot of flight operators. One big advantage of these drones, of course, is that one person can control multiple drones. But I think the scale at which we want to increase deliveries is, these volumes don't exist today, right? India right now is doing maybe about 30-40 million deliveries per day. We want to increase that number to 1 billion deliveries every day. And so if you're getting to volumes like that, then even if, let's say, one operator is controlling 20 drones, that's still a workforce that is much larger than the existing workforce. And so that's where, we believe that this tech can really upskill people and bring the market to a point that just would not be possible with, the traditional delivery model.
Okay, and lastly, this is our last question for you, Naman. Tell us, so you haven't actually rolled these out fully yet, right? Like this month, the next few months is when we're actually going to see this practiced on the ground. But I want to understand, in your trials, what have some of the tricky issues that you didn't foresee coming up? What have they been, and how have you worked around them?
Oh God, yeah, there have been so many. We're getting to sort of new issues continuously. And I think that's where, we subscribe to the belief that the fastest way to, millions or billions of deliveries every day is not necessarily the fastest way to your first delivery. So we spent a lot of time really getting this tech right, doing a crazy amount of trials. And for us, it's not just that, like, if the drone crashes, that's a failure. If the drone just does anything that we're not able to fully explain, that's considered a failure. So one like very random and interesting issue that we had recently is that the drone had this yawing tendency, which means that if it's supposed to be flying straight, it sort of, it's at the camera, it flies a little bit at an angle like this.
Right.
And so it's a very slight angle, which means if you leave it to fly straight, it'll just go in a circle with like a 400-meter radius. So very, very big circle.
Yeah.
But we were just like, we don't understand this behavior. It's not a critical failure. It can still do a mission. But before we understand this behavior, we can't exactly put this out in the field, close to real world people.
Let me just ask you very quickly, is an advantage to your drones that if, for example, they're doing a delivery in a location that is hard to find, do they remember that location henceforth so that they're actually more efficient than using a delivery person? Is that how it would work?
100%, right? I think the way you can think about it is if there's the same delivery person going to your house every time. So the first time they may face a few challenges, they may not know where to go, but every single time after that, they know they're never going to get confused.
Very cool. Okay, Naman, thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you for highlighting this it sounds like we're in the future almost, 50 years ahead. But this is really cool tech. We wish you all the best of luck in your rollout across the country and hopefully across the world too. We wish you all the best of luck. Okay, we're going to sign off there now with Naman. He is, as we told you earlier, a particularly young founder, someone who's just 20 years old. We're taking you now to Brajesh Pandey. Brajesh, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Brajesh, let me just tell our audiences a little bit about Garuda UAV. It is something that has been around for almost a decade. It is primarily software and services. So this is more what runs the drone that we're going to be taking a look at. And this is one of the most extensive aerial data operations in the country. So essentially, the drones that you use collect data. And we're just about to tell our audiences data in what kinds of ways. So Brajesh, just break that down for our audiences first. What are the different ways in which both the software that you make and the services that your drones offer, how have they helped the country in the last few years?
Thanks, Toya, for having me for this discussion. Before drone, the data collection and the inspection surveys were happening with the traditional methodologies, like they were using data collection tools and they were doing it. So everything was scattered. There was no organized way of doing such kind of thing. So what drone does, it aggregates things under one umbrella where you can do a proper analytics. You can do kind of data can be traced properly. It can be geo-referenced. You can have the latest technologies can help you to analyze those data sets. I'll give you an example. Like transmission inspection. We started way back in 2017.
Transmission inspection, you said, right?
Yes, transmission inspection.
Okay, what is that?
So in Delhi, we thought, let's introduce this technology. So people were not very, they were not aware about drones. So they were very hesitant, like how drone can solve my problem. So the patrolling guys, they said like, it's not possible. How are you going to send drone and how are you going to generate reports? We have a decade of experience. How are you going to mimic those experiences in your report? So we said, yes. So we just started with the POC. And finally, we ended up having the complete daily, all three different service providers power companies are there, and we got the contract from all of them. The solution was we automated our drone. The flight plan was automated. Data capturing was automated. Thermal and visual data imagery was uploaded to cloud, and cloud platform was doing all the analytics. We learned the basics of their inspection methodologies, and we automated those methodologies under our platform. So basically, I did. Yeah.
No, so just tell us, during COVID also, your drones played a very, very special role. Can you just break down for our audiences how they were helpful, I believe, to police in the Delhi NCR region?
Yes. So I would say it was kind of awareness for the people. Like during the COVID, everything was locked down, no movement was happening, and it was very difficult to make people understand the benefit of having this lockdown. So we provided, initially they started flying drone. The police departments, they started flying drones. They asked us to fly drone for them. And then we realized that it was not organized. They were not able to control. They were not able to communicate with people. So quickly we customized our platform, drone swarming platform, where you can fly in one click. Multiple drones can be flown, and even you have a sound system announcement equipments mounted on that. So you can announce, you can make people aware about this lockdown.
Oh,
And
so
even for
am I correct in saying you'd put speakers on the drones? Is that how that
Yes,
worked?
yes,
Okay.
yes. So it was not like our job, but quickly we customized our platform, and it's like you are controlling through platform, like right, left, movement, zoom in, zoom out, and then you can even talk through sitting in your control room. So it became easy. But I won't say that was a game changer in lockdown, but yes, that was a one quick solution that time. But especially during the COVID, Amphan happened. That was a disaster happened in Odisha. And we mobilized during the lockdown, even officers, like one of the leading company, we were impaneled with one of the leading insurance company, even two companies for different use cases. We mobilized team, and without touching the ground, only one drone pilot captured the whole Haldia power plant, and we generated report, and that helped to disburse the claims, because the claims were made. You have to analyze the data manually, and it will take a month to submit the report. But based on that report, they initially they disburse the claims. So these are the different type of use cases.
Not done asking you about the different kinds of use cases, because I believe even in Assam you played a very, very interesting role between both the states of Assam and Meghalaya. Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, we were not thinking about these use cases initially. We thought like, let's build a platform. But when we started talking to different customers, they had their unique problem. Like when we met Assam government and then Meghalaya government, they suggested that, okay, let's talk to both departments and come up with the solution regarding Meghalaya and Assam dispute. So there were a border dispute going on between them, and it was all over in news. And we met both officers, and we suggested a geo referencing of the land parcels, and it's like a flying drone capturing the whole border areas and geo referencing, superimposing the land records and creating a boundaries.
Oh,
And
wow.
all agreed, and they accepted it, and it was all over in news. They agreed on that border dispute.
Okay, let me ask you one last question, and then we're going to let you go, Brajeshji. I want to understand, there are many who compare India's drone technology to China's and say that we're still, light years behind China. China will use drones for something as simple as even a light show in the night, where they'll have the drones making the shape of dragons and really, really other interesting characters. And many say that, look, China is light years ahead of us. They're even using drones for entertainment. Do you think that comparison is a fair one and that's the right conclusion? Do you think the Indian innovation space actually offers other advantages? Tell us.
So see, we have to accept honestly that China is way ahead as of now. But the way we are investing in latest technologies, not only in drone, everywhere you will see there are initiatives has been the initiatives have been taken. So I think that these are the seeding happening right now, the drone ecosystem or AI initiatives has been taken. So I think the results you will see after a couple of years, because the component manufacturing started in China, I think 20 years back. They have been building this base for the last 20 years, and that's where they are now. So I think we'll have to wait. We are directly comparing ourselves with the China. China is like the top economy of the world. Now it will take over USA also. So since they are our neighbor, we have been comparing ourselves with them. But I think very soon we will be very close to the China based on the initiative that government has been taking.
I appreciate your point also that they have almost a decade's head start on us in terms of when this ecosystem started. Brajesh, thank you for joining us. We have run out of time, but thank you for joining us. We also had Naman earlier, both of them highlighting just how innovative this space is right now. But we're not yet done. So in the last few minutes, we focused on drones that weren't being used exclusively for defense. But let's switch back our focus to drones that are. The Indian Armed Forces have used loitering munitions to destroy terrorist headquarters and base camps. One of the major drones used for this purpose is something called Sky Striker. It's a lethal loitering munition manufactured in Bangalore by Alpha Design Technologies in collaboration with an Israeli firm. CNN News 18's Harish Upadhyay gets you this sneak peek into how this works. It's called a silent killer of sorts. Take a look.
Operation Sindoor has shown a significant shift in India's warfare plan. We've seen a lot more technology in India's Operation Sindoor, whether it's using loitering munition in terms of surveillance, reconnaissance, use of drones and various other technologies. Alpha Design Technologies, based out of Bengaluru, is at the forefront of manufacturing drones and some of the related systems. To talk more about this, we have people from Alpha Designs joining us. We have Mr. Hari Prasad, the CEO of Alpha Designs. Sir, it's called a lethal weapon, silent striker. What really stands out?
No, it's the accuracy is one of the very good strong points. We are talking about a 1 meter accuracy, high precision drone, and then it has a very good key features. Its dive angle, the weight, it can have the terminal velocity, it's very high speed. So it's a very, very powerful system.
At the same time, talking about the endurance of it, the range of it, the kind of payload it can carry.
So we are talking about roughly about 5 to 10 kgs, as we said. Mr. Arul sir will talk about more.
As our CEO said, this loitering munition, it's a silent killer, and it's a battery operated, it doesn't make any sound, and it has got an endurance about 2.5 to 3 hours, and it can take a payload of about 5 to 10 kgs. Depending on the payload, its endurance varies, and 80 to 100 kilometer range it can operate. So once launched, as I said, as you can see here, it has got an electro-optic payload. So it takes the input of the target through this electro-optic payload and relays it to the ground control system, so which can be controlled by the operator, and the target location can be pinpointed and the attack launched. Also, it can take the GPS coordinates fed in from the operator, and it can go and directly strike onto the target. If unused, this loitering munition can be retrieved back. It has got a parachute kind of thing, airbag kind of thing, which can be deployed, and it can be reused also. So it has got a fantastic capability. It's not a very costly machine, and it is high accuracy and lethal, and it has been exploited world around successfully. And we have not only manufactured it and supplied to Indian Army, we have also exported it.
We've seen Alpha Design taking up several other contracts with the Indian Army, with the Indian Armed Forces, and as the CEO said, multiple contracts, export contracts as well. In terms of a company, what's the roadmap ahead?
See, FY25 we closed at about 1,050 crores with about 15-16% EBITDA, and going strong, and we have got a strong order book of about 8 to 10,000 crores. We are going to bag another 10,000 few plus crores during the next financial year. So that's a strong domain, and we have got about 1,100 plus employees, and we have got at various locations like Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Kerala, and various other locations. So going strong. So
well, going strong clearly, and one thing that really stands out is that a lot of it coming, as I said, being manufactured in India, and especially with the Make in India push, whether it's having many of these companies as offset partners initially, and now them becoming independent and manufacturing these defense equipments and drones and various other products, really showing the roadmap for Indian defense ecosystem in the coming years.
All right, we hope that today morning has left you filled with a sense of inspiration about just the kind of innovation that's taking place across our entire country. Now we're going to be heading into a quick break. On the other side, we continue to bring you the other side of the Breakfast Club. We make a brief shift into entertainment, and then some very, very important health news for you. We're taking a look at hypertension. Tomorrow is Hypertension Awareness Day. What is the cutting edge research on this Singh? We'll have some of the world's top doctors in this field actually joining us in just a few minutes.
This 18 network. India's largest news network.
To the reports that were doing the rounds earlier about India hitting Kirana Hills in Pakistan, which remember houses their nuclear weaponry as well. Now, the global nuclear watchdog, International Atomic Energy Agency, which is popularly known as the IAEA, has said that there has been no radiation leak from any nuclear facility in Pakistan after the escalated military engagement with India. This is in response to a query on whether any nuclear incident or spill has been brought to the notice of the IAEA's Incident and Emergency Center. India had earlier denied hitting Kirana Hills in Pakistan, which allegedly houses Pakistan's nukes. I go back to Siddhant on that story. Siddhant, all the wagging tongues finally put to rest?
Well, yes, Akanksha. It looks like after the statement from the nuclear watchdog, perhaps I think all this chatter and rumor around India hitting Kirana Hills, perhaps where Pakistan's nuclear arsenal have been kept. Perhaps the rumor and chatter will be put to an end, Akanksha. In fact, since 10th of May, there was chatter on social media platforms that India has hit Kirana Hills, and there is a radioactive. There could be a possibility of a radioactive leak in that particular area. In fact, an Egyptian plane perhaps has landed near to the Kirana Hills. Perhaps it was assumed that plane has been sent to see whether there is a leak of a radioactive substance to do the assessment. This plane has come, but now since the nuclear watchdog has said that no leakage has taken place in that particular area, and perhaps has denied any reports of any nuclear site being hit by the Indian Armed Forces. In fact, Akanksha, on the very first day, Air Marshal Bharti also made it very clear that we don't know what is there in Kirana Hills, but we have not hit that site. So India made its position very clear, and now the international watchdog, nuclear watchdog, is also perhaps saying something on the similar lines.
And when the IAEA says that, this means that the matter has now been globally put to rest.
Welcome back to the Breakfast Club. Let's take you very quickly to what's happening both in India and in the world. Let's take a look first at something taking place with the All India Cine Workers Association. They've announced a total boycott of the nation, Turkey, halting all film shoots and cultural collaborations. They're saying it's a response to Turkey's ongoing support for Pakistan amid rising tensions with India. Effective immediately, no film from Bollywood, no Indian film will be allowed as a project in Turkey, including those by producers, directors or financiers. And Ranveer Singh all set to step into the iconic shoes of Dawn. Remember, as Farhan Akhtar and Ritesh Sidhwani gear up to begin filming the iconic film series' third film. The film was originally delayed due to Farhan's commitments to a different film. It's finally back on track. The initial announcement video featuring Ranveer had dropped all the way back in 2023. Remember, Shah Rukh Khan had earlier donned this iconic role in both Dawn 1 and Dawn 2, and now Ranveer Singh will be stepping into his legendary shoes. And Amir Khan's return with Sitare Zameen Par has seemingly ignited an online storm. Remember, initially that film and its trailer has been loved. More than 13 million views for a trailer that engages with important issues around the specially abled. But it seems that there is a controversy brewing among some. Some are questioning why the actor remained, quote, selectively silent, showing, quote, selective patriotism and not speaking on the issue of Operation Sindoor. But this is all the while some continue to support the incredible themes behind the trailer and the film. And Nitanshi Goyal, you remember her in just a second from one of our favorite films this year, Lapata Lady. She made a stunning debut at the 78th Cannes Film Festival. And we're talking about her fashion. What you're looking at is her tribute to Rekha, Sridevi and Madhubala. That is the tribute. These are photos of each of them intertwined into her hair accessories. The rest was a pre-draped sari, but it's really that hair look that caught everyone's attention. And next we take you to a stunning cultural tribute. Remember, right now in Telangana you have all of the Miss World nominees. They are there for the official Miss World. And what are these gorgeous ladies doing right now? They grace Telangana's iconic 1000 pillar and Ramappa temples, draped in hand-woven saris and ghagras styled by Gaurang Shah. Just take a look at those gorgeous outfits that are on display right now. And let's go quickly to the international world where Rihanna is out with a new track. It's called Friend of Mine. But is it a full-blown new track? That's what everyone's asking. Now, this is going to be a slice of music on the upcoming Smurfs movie. And she actually put it out on her own account. But people are really excited because this will also be her first track release since 2022, with many fans saying, is this the first of a potential new album? Smurfs is going to be hitting theatres in July 18th in particular. Okay, let's come back home where megastar Amitabh Bachchan back to work after a short pause. The legendary actor was last seen in a 2024 action drama and he's now shared on his blog that he's back on the work front. Fans can expect to see more of Big B and his Twitter updates very soon. And who you're looking at right now on your screens is legendary singer Sonu Nigam. And what's taken place right now is that the Karnataka High Court has said no coercive action can take place against him. Remember, there was a complaint made around what some called an objectionable statement during a music concert. And individuals had demanded he sing Kannada songs. The court also stayed the filing of the final report in this case. Nigam moved the court to quash the FIR against him. Authorities confirmed no action will be taken if he cooperates. And back to international, Tom Cruise making a grand entrance at the Cannes Film Festival premiere of his much-awaited installment of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Millions and millions of fans of this franchise, perhaps one of the world's most famous franchises of all time. Fans were thrilled to see the Hollywood star, who received an overwhelming 5-minute standing ovation following the premiere of this film at the Grand Theatre Lumiere. Alongside his cast members, he later posed for a photo call. This is a memorable moment. This might be his last film in the series. And more from Cannes, where the Ukrainian director Sergei Loznitsa returned to the Cannes Film Festival competition with his new film, Two Prosecutors. The film is based on the book of the same name, and it's set in the late 1930s in Russia during a period known as the Great Purge. It was also called the Great Terror. The drama film follows a prosecutor who is trying to protect a prisoner from Stalinist corruption. However, his professional ethics put him at odds against the regime. That's why it was called the Great Purge. It's one of 22 titles that are vying for the top prize. Remember, the top prize at Cannes is called the Palme d'Or, and this year we've yet to find out who it's going to be given to. And next we take you to everyone's favorite singer, The Weeknd, and updates about him after nearly 5 years of boycott. The Weeknd said change is what led him back to the Grammy stage in a surprise appearance in Feb this year. In 2020, the Academy was slammed when the Canadian artist got 0 Grammy nominations. Yes, The Weeknd is from Canada. He got 0 nominations even after his critically acclaimed album After Hours was one of the biggest sellers of that year. Now, he got on X and he said, the Grammys remain corrupt. You owe me, my fans, and the industry transparencies. Now, the singer said he's thinking of submitting his recent album for Grammy Award consideration, but he says his new focus is his film, inspired by the personal experience of losing his voice during a live concert. Take a look at what he had to say.
I love all the people that are working there now, and it's a different building. And you know, I got no grudges. I can't. I'm getting too old. No, we don't got time for that.
Will you submit this latest album?
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Maybe. If I think it's good enough.
And next, from the weekend, we take you to another beloved singer. This is, of course, Ed Sheeran. And he's delighting Mexican fans by performing mini shows at a restaurant in Mexico City. It seems that he saves his hijinks for every country he's in and he enthralls fans with them. What you can see is Sheeran. He began his career as a busker in the UK. And what he was singing in that is Thinking Out Loud. Sheeran's surprise performance took place in one of the most tourist-friendly restaurants in the Mexican capital, where guests typically go to enjoy live mariachi music. In the story the artist posted on the Instagram account, he said, "I love being back in this country."
I can't think that this was best left. There in the past, alone. I feel an overwhelming sadness.
Okay, and next we are taking you to Celine Dion's seeming Eurovision snub. There was speculation that Canadian Dion, who until last year was Switzerland's most recent winner with 1988's Ne partez pas sans moi, would make an appearance at the contest in Basel, but she sent an emotional video message played during the semi-final on Tuesday, where Celine Dion told fans she would love nothing more than to be with you, implying that she would in fact not make it. And we take you to Nigeria, where at a studio in Lagos, tailors are meticulously stitching together vibrant dresses. And what you're looking at is raffia. Each garment weaves a narrative of African culture and heritage. And there's always also an underlying theme of commitment to sustainability. What you're looking at is the creative director and designer. This brand is called the Ekikire brand. And what he's doing is reviewing the pieces. That's what they look like on the runway. And she launched her brand on this sustainable theme back in 2020 when COVID had actually brought the world to a standstill. Look at how it marries African tradition with sustainability. And we take you to Nehal Sareen. He registered his fourth consecutive victory, defeating overnight leader Bardia Daneshwar of Iran in the final round to finish what you're looking at right now, second at the Asian Individual Open Chess Championship on Thursday. Nehal matched Daneshwar on 7 points, but the Iranian had better tiebreak to still win the title ahead of the Indian, unfortunately. And a name we're familiar with, R. Pragnananda, shot into Seoul lead, defeating Wesley So of the US in the 8th round of Super Bet Classic, a part of the Grand Chess Tour. The victory with black took Pragnananda to 5 points in all on a day when world champion D. Gukesh also registered his first victory at the expense of another American, Levon Aronian. Okay, let's move on now from this to something very, very important. Our next segment is one that we want you to pay attention to, not just for you, but also for the members of your family. Tomorrow is World Hypertension Day. It's a global reminder that high blood pressure remains one of the world's deadliest silent killers. What do the Indian numbers look like? In India, 1 in 4 adults is affected, but awareness, diagnosis and treatment remain dangerously low. But a powerful new recommendation, and it's a very, very simple one. That's what makes it so effective. This is a recommendation that comes in from international researchers, and it could change everything. And it's a recommendation of simply switching your salt. A global review published in the American Heart Association's journal is calling on health bodies to include potassium-enriched salt. That's going to be the change. In clinical treatment guidelines, it's a low-sodium alternative. It helps reduce blood pressure without altering the taste of food. And it's something that could make all the difference when it comes to long-term lifestyle changes. We thought it was important because today this cause 1 in 4 Indians is affected, remember. It's important to bring on someone who's been leading this change. So we have with us Professor Vivekanand Jha. He's the Executive Director at the George Institute for Global Health, and he's the Chair of Global Kidney Health at the Imperial College London. Sir, thank you for joining us. Let me just finish describing to our audiences your achievements, because you're also a past president of the International Society of Nephrology, and you're here to explain to us how this small change could prevent millions from strokes, heart attacks, early deaths, especially in countries like ours. This is such important research. Thank you for joining us. Professor, if we could first ask you, Why is this called the silent killer? How big of a problem is this globally, in India? Just bring us the numbers.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me and also for highlighting this very important health issue. So you actually covered a number of points in your introduction. But just coming straight to your question, hypertension is commonly called high blood pressure, as we all know. It is a silent killer because it typically develops without any noticeable symptoms.
Yeah.
This allows it to go undetected for many years sometimes, while quietly it is causing damage to the body's vital organs. Many people actually do not experience any warning signs until serious complications occur. And these complications can be heart attack, stroke, kidney failure, vision loss, etc. Now, you also asked numbers, right? So you said hypertension affects 1 in 4 Indians. But if you look at only adult population, 1 in 3 adults is affected with hypertension.
Oh, it's actually higher.
It is higher in adult population, obviously. So this translates to about 130 to 140 crore worldwide. And also notable is the fact that the number of people living with hypertension has doubled in the last 30 years worldwide. Okay. If we look at India itself, 30 to 32 crore people have hypertension, and about 15 to 17 lakh deaths every year can be attributed to hypertension.
Okay, Professor, before we talk a little bit about your research, I do want to ask you, just to alert everyone who's watching right now, you said right now that heart attack is obviously one of the signs of high blood pressure, but that's something that's very serious and almost the fifth stage. For anyone watching right now, A, what is the age range of people that should be extra careful? Are there any health groups that should be particularly careful? And are there any initial signs that people can be aware of in their own bodies, the people who should really be listening into our next discussion?
Yeah, very important question. I think people who are at increased risk of developing hypertension. As I said, given that 1 in 3 adults will develop hypertension, I think the entire adult population should be considered to be at risk. But even within that, people who have already a family history of other members having high blood pressure, people who are obese or overweight, because obesity increases the risk of hypertension, people who have coexisting other conditions such as diabetes, pre-existing kidney disease, etc. So they should definitely consider themselves at very high risk of having hypertension and have regular blood pressure checks, etc. And individuals who have been told because of any reason people who undergo health checks, etc., and found to have even pre-hypertension, because now data is coming which tells us that even the numbers that were initially thought to be safe in terms of blood pressure can actually increase the risk of death and disability. And these are premature deaths and disability, which we all want to provide at any circumstances.
Okay, so we're already telling our audiences on their screens right now what potassium salt, which we're going to be looking at now, we're already telling them what it is. But can we just ask you, as our next question, how easy is potassium salt to come about? So is it as simple as just going on Amazon and looking up the word potassium salt and you find potassium salt and any salt is good? Do you have a recommendation as to how to find out what a good potassium salt is and what is not? Bring us that context.
Yeah, so look, I think one more point to make here is that it is mainly the sodium content of the salt that is responsible for the development of hypertension. And the second point, but this is something which a lot of people know, but the other point which people don't know so much is that the other element in our diet is potassium. And it is actually the sodium-potassium balance which is very important for determining whether or not someone will develop hypertension. So the data have shown, surveys have shown that we consume much less potassium than what is recommended. Potassium typically comes from fruits, from vegetables, etc. And in ancient times, when human beings were hunter-gatherers and foragers, we used to consume lots of fruits, lots of vegetables. But that food habit has now changed, and we eat a lot of cooked food, we eat a lot of processed food. So the potassium intake has come down. So it's really important that we also take care of that bit. And this low sodium salt substitute, which is enriched with potassium, so about 25 to 30% of the sodium content of the sodium of the salt is substituted by potassium chloride. And so this potassium chloride lowers the sodium content, but also increases the potassium intake, and thereby restoring the sodium-potassium balance. Now, where do we find it? It is difficult to find. There is no doubt about it. It's not commonly available in grocery stores. You have to go hunting for it in grocery stores. It is hidden in some shelf in the back of the store, etc. And the second point is it is more expensive. So that is a barrier in people being able to access low sodium, high potassium salt substitutes.
Doctor, could this be dangerous to those, Professor, who might have kidney disease though? Do they have to be careful?
Indeed, that's a critical point. So one of the reasons why the uptake of this the salt substitute, which is higher in potassium, has not been as good as we would like, is this fear about what will happen to people who are at high risk of developing what is called hyperkalemia or high potassium blood levels in their body, which can be sometimes risky. So these are people who have serious kidney disease. It's really important to emphasize that people with serious or advanced kidney diseases are the ones who are at risk of developing hyperkalemia, right? So early stages of kidney disease do not unduly increase the risk of development of hyperkalemia. And as it happens, the vast majority of people in the community do not have advanced stages of kidney disease. And so this low sodium, high potassium salt substitute is actually safe for a huge majority of the population. And it's only those who have advanced kidney failure, in which the kidney function has decreased to somewhere between 15-20% of normal. They are the ones who should be careful about changing their diet. In fact, even in that situation, we advise them to take low salt diet, because low salt diet is good for kidney health as well. But we wouldn't recommend taking increased potassium content salt to those individuals. So please consult your doctor if you have even a slight suspicion that you may have kidney disease, especially advanced kidney disease, if there's a history of kidney disease in your family, or if you are developing common symptoms which are associated with development of kidney disease.
Professor, very quickly, because we've run out of time, do you consume salt? Have you got your family off salt? Are you yourself on a low salt diet? Just give us a yes or no, because we're really out of time.
Yes, I am. Yes, we are. Yes.
Okay, all right. Good. Always good to hear from the practitioner themselves about the changes they put into their own life. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for putting me on the spot there.
Very important always to ask the expert. Aap khud kar rahe ho, but thank you so much for just highlighting over here all the changes that it is important to make. Okay, and we hope that that has got you more aware. This is so important. Tomorrow, remember, as we've told you earlier, is World Hypertension Day, and we wanted to highlight this before we move on. Okay, we're switching focus now entirely. It's Friday, which means we have to touch into the entertainment world. From Kim Kardashian in court to the Cannes cracking down on couture, the changes that were made, and Netflix's royals getting seeming backlash to Bollywood versus Pakistan. Take a look. Shosha Statas brings you more.
Hello there. Let's take a quick look at the week that was. 9 years after the infamous robbery at her Paris hotel room, Kim Kardashian testified in a French courtroom. In October 2016, she was robbed at gunpoint during Fashion Week. 5 masked men dressed as police officers forced their way into her suite, tied her up and stole jewelry worth $10 million, including a $4 million engagement ring from her then-husband, Kanye West. In the court, Kim said that she was terrified she would be killed and raped during the burglary, but that she has forgiven the ringleader of the robbery. But what caught everyone's attention was Kim sporting an ironical and unexpected $1.5 million diamond necklace in court. Organizers of Cannes International Film Festival has come up with a new dress code that prohibits stars from risque fashion and wearing overly extravagant outfits. And affected by it was Halle Berry, one of the jury members this year. In her words, she had to ditch her custom-made Gaurav Gupta gown at the very last minute due to its long train. While she believes prohibiting nudity on the red carpet is a good rule and played by the book, other celebs like Bella Hadid, Eva Longoria, Irina Shayk, Heidi Klum, Urvashi Rotella and Julia Garner seemed unaffected by the new dress code. Netflix's The Royal, starring Ishan Khattar and Bhumi Pednekar, has come under fire for its inappropriate portrayal of modern-day royal families. In their open letter, Royal Fables, a platform dedicated to showcasing the real royals of India, pointed out the many false narratives the series put forward, which they think is a disservice. They mentioned that royal families aren't poor and they do not sell their palaces or make money from bat poop as portrayed in the show. They further stated that no Ravi Verma painting that costs hundreds of crores is ever sold, thus highlighting discrepancies in the storyline. Soni Razdan recently took to Instagram to share a peace-seeking petition started by Indian and Pakistani activists. The petition, titled India Pakistan Stop the Hostilities, urged that both nuclear powers should refrain from declaring war on each other. Her post wasn't taken positively by a large section of Indian social media users. While Soni later deleted her post after facing a massive backlash, many questioned her and her daughter Alia Bhatt's loyalty towards the nation, with Alia's British citizenship being questioned once again. Shortly after, Alia shared an Instagram post lauding Indian armed forces stationed at the border. Post the suspension of Instagram accounts of Pakistani artists like Fawad Khan, Mahira Khan, Maura Hussain, Hania Amir, Ali Zafar and Atif Aslam, among many others. 3 of them have been removed from the digital posters of their Hindi films. While Fawad is now missing from the posters of Kapoor and Sons, Mahira and Maura are no longer on the album cover images of Rais and Sanam Teri Kasam respectively. Amid ongoing Indo-Pak tensions, Harshvardhan Rane has said that he wouldn't want to be a part of Sanam Teri Kasam 2 if the producers cast Maura in it. He went on to refer to her removal from the film's album covers on Spotify and YouTube as national weeding. That's all for this week. I'll see you soon.
Okay, let's head into a quick break. We're not done yet. We'll see you in just a few minutes on the other side.
India की. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
To the reports that were doing the rounds earlier about India hitting Kirana Hills in Pakistan, which, remember, houses their nuclear weaponry as well. Now, the global nuclear watchdog, International Atomic Energy Agency, which is popularly known as the IAEA, has said that there has been no radiation leak from any nuclear facility in Pakistan after the escalated military engagement with India. This is in response to a query on whether any nuclear incident or spill has been brought to the notice of the IAEA's Incident and Emergency Center. India had earlier denied hitting Kirana Hills in Pakistan, which allegedly houses Pakistan's nukes. I go back to Siddhant on that story. Siddhant, all the wagging tongues finally put to rest?
Well, yes, Akanksha. It looks like after the statement from the nuclear watchdog, perhaps I think all this chatter and rumor around India hitting Kirana Hills, perhaps where Pakistan's nuclear arsenal have been kept. Perhaps the rumor and chatter will be put to an end, Akanksha. In fact, since 10th of May, there was chatter on social media platforms that India has hit Kirana Hills, and there is a radioactive. There could be a possibility of a radioactive leak in that particular area. In fact, an Egyptian plane perhaps has landed near to the Kirana Hills. Perhaps it was assumed that that plane has been.
All right, we're almost done, but we have two very, very exciting things for you. Before we move ahead, let's first bring you a special section on financial markets. It's powered by Money Control Pro, Money Control premium destination for investing in business insights. Okay, as we told you earlier, this is Money Control Pro. It's Money Control's premium destination for investing in business insights. And this next is a market overview. GIFT Nifty trends indicate a positive start for Indian equity indices today. Asian shares were down in early trade as the US data is awaited later in the day. US equities ended mixed amid uncertainties in tariff policy. Crude oil prices climbed as US-China trade optimism is offset by Iran's supply return. Now, if we take a look at sectors, today we're looking at affordable housing finance, and it remains in a sweet spot. Despite the challenges in micro lending, the largely secured book has shielded this segment. Most players are expanding distribution and penetrating very deep. Adept use of technology is aiding growth as well as asset quality. And you can log into Money Control Pro to find out more about India's affordable housing finance firms and various other actionable insights on the market. It's the premier destination for all investing views and financial insights that you're ever going to need, brought to you by Money Control. And lastly, let's take you very quickly to our video of the day. We are at the end of 1 week of the Breakfast Club, and we thought these are delightful visuals to take you into the evening. What you're looking at right now are the roof of Sudarshan and Vidya. They actually share this roof in a sense with, look at that, just hundreds of parrots, pigeons and doves, sparrows too. All you can see are the green of the parrots though. They've been feeding these animals for the past 15 years, these birds rather, for the past 15 years. And that's why every morning now you have these parrots come right on time to feed themselves. These are those gorgeous visuals, and we'll see you on Monday.
Brought to you by This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
To the reports that were doing the rounds earlier about India hitting Kirana Hills in Pakistan, which, remember, houses their nuclear weaponry as well. Now, the global nuclear watchdog, International Atomic Energy Agency, which is popularly known as the IAEA, has said that there has been no radiation leak from any nuclear facility in Pakistan after the escalated military engagement with India. This is in response to a query on whether any nuclear incident or spill has been brought to the notice of the IAEA's Incident and Emergency Center. India had earlier denied hitting Kirana Hills in Pakistan, which allegedly houses Pakistan's nukes. I go back to Siddhant on that story. Siddhant, all the wagging tongues finally put to rest?
Well, yes, Akanksha. It looks like after the statement from the nuclear watchdog, perhaps I think all this chatter and rumor around India hitting Kirana Hills, perhaps where Pakistan's nuclear arsenal have been kept. Perhaps the rumor